Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning and Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to say I'm absolutely fascinated. This is my first time here. I was here the whole day yesterday. And I've realized that us as bankers have not leaned in much as we should have into this space. आज मैं आपके साथ थोड़ी बात अपने बारे में करूँगा, अपनी जर्नी के बारे में, क्योंकि I'm going to weave that into the financial inclusion agenda. और जो गलतियां हमने की एंड विद सम कन्फेशंस कि जितना काम हमें पार्टनर्स के साथ करना चाहिए था ओवर द इयर्स हमने शायद नहीं किया, बट इट्स नेवर टू लेट एज दे से. सो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट. आई हैव स्पेंट बल्क ऑफ माई करियर on the financial and social inclusion agenda. And the vehicles that I was working with were microfinance banks. I was part of the founding team of Tameer Bank, which is now Easy Paisa Digital Bank. Then I headed UBank for about 8 years, and now I'm doing a very, very exciting assignment, and I'm part of the metamorphosis that Abhi is going through after acquiring Finca, which was a struggling bank here. And alhamdulillah, we've been able to turn it around, and now we are digitizing it. And this is where, the whole discussion of banking as a service comes in. Now, talking about the problem statement, I think these are some stats जो आप रोज सुनते हैं कि 11 ट्रिलियन रुपया कैश में पड़ा हुआ है लोगों के तकियों और गलों के नीचे. 26.6 मिलियन चिल्ड्रन आर आउट ऑफ स्कूल. ये भी डेटेड नंबर है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली शायद ये इससे ज़्यादा हो इस वक्त. 40% ऑफ द एग्री प्रोड्यूस गोज़ टू वेस्ट बिकॉज स्टोरेजेस नहीं हैं. वाटर टेबल्स हमारे जो हैं वो तबाह हो रहे हैं बिकॉज ऑफ प्रिमिटिव एग्रीकल्चर प्रैक्टिसेस, एंड आई कैन गो ऑन एंड ऑन. सो बिकॉज द प्रॉब्लम्स आर ह्यूज, बट ऑब्वियसली इसके बीच में ही आपकी अपॉर्चुनिटी है. नाउ द गुड थिंग इज़ 65% people in Pakistan are less than the age of 35. We're sitting on a youth bulge. If we train them, groom them, so they can be an asset, but if we don't, in the next 15 to 20 years, they're all going to be middle-aged. And if they're not trained and not contributed to the economy, they can become a liability. So that's a red flag if we don't act now. Pakistan is going to be one of the top 10 countries affected by climate change, adversely, sadly. And we need to act now for that also. And why am I talking about all of this? Because all of this is linked to the agenda of financial inclusion, which I feel as a practitioner is a means to an end. The end result that we're looking for is better livelihoods for Pakistanis, bulk of Pakistanis, all of Pakistanis, and financial wellness. Now, for microfinance banks, or microfinance sector, we were designed over the last 30 years to deal with the credit needs or savings needs of the masses of Pakistan. Areas and people who were considered high risk were our customers. When you go to tier 2, tier 3 cities or villages, you don't see much of credit, formal credit or banking activity happening, and that's why this sector exists. Now, over the last 30 years, we've got about 12 million loans in a country of 250 million people where population is increasing. And when I say loans, these are not clients. When you peel the onion, one client could have 2 or 3 loans. And so we talk about around 3.5 million to 4 million actual clients for the whole sector, which has about nearly 40 financial institutions that are non-banks and about 12 banks that are operating in this space. Now, when you talk about the households, each and every household, for instance, in Pakistan, if you have a household of 8 people, 3 to 4 people have taken out these loans. So you peel the onion further in terms of serving households, we are serving less than 1 million households with formal credit. And I'll keep my discussion towards credit because I think that is one area, any economy in the world, जब तक MSMEs को, SMEs को, individuals को, masses को formal, proper credit available नहीं हुआ, productivity has not increased. और हमारे पास क्रेडिट ना होने के बराबर एक नंबर पीछे लगा हुआ है, आप देख रहे हैं क्रेडिट कार्ड कितने हैं, कंज्यूमर टोटल लोन्स कितने हैं, 3 million, 3.5 million. So basically, people are using the informal means to fund their businesses or to scale. And you see what is the result, कि हमारी जो इकोनॉमी है वो कैश इकोनॉमी बढ़ती जा रही है, और जो रेशोज़ आप टीवी पे सुनते हैं GDP के, ओवरऑल आपके डेफिसिट के, सरप्लस के, वो सारे रेशियोज़ जब आप कराची, लाहौर, इस्लामाबाद से 50 से 100 किलोमीटर अंदर जाते हैं तो आपको नज़र आता है कि वो अप्लाई ही नहीं करते बिकॉज सारी दुनिया कैश पे है. And I've got a unique privilege to do about, and we've counted 170,000 kilometers over the last 8-9 years, Pakistan ka chappa chappa. जब आप वहाँ जाते हैं और लोगों के मसाइल देखते हैं, all the way from KP to बलूचिस्तान, वहाँ आपको अंदाज़ा होता है कि वो एक और पाकिस्तान है. एक पाकिस्तान आपको कराची, लाहौर, इस्लामाबाद में नज़र आता है, और एक पाकिस्तान आपका जब आप यहाँ से निकलते हैं बाहर, जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली ज़्यादातर लोग नहीं करते. So what we've seen over the years is credit की dire need है, which is linked to health, which is linked to education, linked to everything. Now, with Abhi, I'll weave the Abhi story in. Abhi is going through a metamorphosis. They were, like many of the peer companies sitting here, founders sitting here, the brilliant founders, I have to mention them, Umair and Ali, they started nearly 5 years ago, and I think they took a very brave move of being an NBFC and acquiring a microfinance bank. And unfortunately, mashallah, वो खरीद भी लिया, वो turnaround भी हो गया, अब आगे क्या करना है? So, I won't be wrong if I say that this is one of the fintech startups that has its own balance sheet now. Now, should that balance sheet only serve Abhi, or should that balance sheet serve the entire sector? That was the decision we had to take. And bulk of the banks, unfortunately, have not leaned in, but now this is a fintech converting into a bank in Pakistan, and the superpower that it has gained is to get deposits, public money. And to give you perspective, when we took over this bank last year, we were 26 billion rupees in deposits that we inherited. We are 60 billion now. So, एक साल में 60 अरब का deposit आ चुका है. We were lending, the loan book was about 16 billion. It's crossing 37 billion by the end of the year. Now, this is all through brick and mortar, while we are still building the digital stack. So while we were doing it, we realized that, let's lean into the fintech space. Let's talk to some brilliant startups. And let's talk to people who want to provide credit, but don't have the capital or the funding to do that. And that is where the idea, the bookish idea, you've been hearing about open banking and banking as a service in Pakistan for the last 10 years at least. But I don't think you can pinpoint any meaningful operation in Pakistan at the moment, unfortunately. So we thought while we were building this, why shouldn't we find our space, our place in the ecosystem? And we realized that if there is a fintech that has converted into a bank, but the genesis of this entity is fintech, we should actually try and build a digital bank on the branchless banking and microfinance licenses. Now that's very interesting. You don't have to have a digital bank license to build a digital bank. You just have to have a banking license. So we had that, and 6 months ago, we took a decision and we started talking to some very good players in the market who were actually offering digital credit. Now, without taking names, 2 of the large nano lenders in Pakistan are doing a great job, and people thought that they're doing all consumption consumer loans, but over the period, we started seeing some very, very good productive use cases, like people from a digital taxi service taking money out, using for productive uses for fueling, and then repaying. And so I can go on and on for that. So we realized that since we are a mission-driven bank, we should also lean into this space and work with partners. So what you see on the screen here, and I'm happy to share, that 6 to 7 MOUs have already been signed. And before I close, I'll explain the structure, that funding will be provided by the bank, real-time balance sheet support, account opening, regulation, funding, management, all of that will be with us. And we will white label where we have to, but the fintech or the startup or the company in the ecosystem that is acquiring the clients will remain the same, and we will do a revenue share. So it's a win-win. So for instance, if somebody is doing disbursement of ₹1 billion in this space today, they can go to 2 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion, or whatever with our support, because there's no cap on funding from our side. So I feel that this is one space you all need to look out towards. And another area that I would want to pinpoint, many of the founders are looking for equity or debt. If you've already established your brand, just imagine if you have a very, very secure and safe banking partner that provides you unlimited funding support, then I don't think that many of you would want to get debt on very onerous terms. Rather, you should open yourselves up for this whole platform and then use the banking services. And I feel when Abhi starts doing it, I have no doubt that other banks are going to jump on to the bandwagon and do this as well, and we will scale the way we have to. So in closing, I know my time is up. I would want to say that in order to build a stronger Pakistan, we all have to, and this may sound a bit cliche, but it's a fact. I'm a practitioner. I've worked with the masses of Pakistan. We've banked people who have never been banked before, and I'm super excited to work with this sector, in this space, and build a better Pakistan. Thank you very much.